We're watching our war correspondents. Shout out to Das Altberg.
Hello everybody, welcome to, this video. I will be sharing some ideas that I had for new commander call-ins abilities or the upgrades of existing abilities. I have to say, it's just concepts, nothing of this is confirmed, official, or in any way already made, but the video will be shared with developers, and with that being said, feedback from the community is very welcome. Comments and all the things, let me know what you want, what you think of these ideas. And of course, one important thing is, if any of these make it into the game, then they first need to be tested with multiple test runs, so we know how, in what format, for what cost, these call-ins can be used. And that's that. I would like to have an improved targeting system for the commander. Now, what do I mean with that? So normally at the moment, if you're a commander and you want to drop a strafing run or a bombing run or a resistance strike, you basically click on it, then you click on the map, and then you click on the map again to change direction by 45 degrees, which is pretty quack. What I would like to see would be a start to end point system. aka, you click once to mark the starting point, and a second time to set the end point. Because that will give you the full control over the direction of your bombing or strafing run. After placing the first point, the cursor snaps to the maximum distance of your ability, so you know how far the line will be. This would help in so many maps, strafe down one major road, or in a bombing run, an area, but always you keep just strafing off like Remark and others. Half the bombing run or the strafing run is just wasted. With this change of the system, you would actually maximize your efficiency, and to be fair, it's also the right system, because why would you do a 45-degree angle attack? Mortar Barrage. Now, we didn't get the mortars, we're not going to get them throughout this year of 2025. I do think we should have at least a calling of a Mortar Barrage that hits a marked area. It should be spread amongst different intensity and duration levels. A light mortar barrage that just peppers the area slightly. Medium mortar barrage as well, which would be in a wider area, more spread out and a bit longer. And then a heavy mortar barrage, which would be around the same size as the medium mortar barrage, but the timing would be longer. So it can be a mortar barrage that actually keeps a certain area under fire for a longer time. Now, the thing is, we could have this already very easily just by using the logic of the Katyusha strike. Just remove the smoke behind rockets, shape them slightly different, and bam, you have a mortar strike. Can be easily done. Again, would need to get tested in terms of size and costs, but the basic idea, a mortar barrage. And we're staying with these kind of columns, smoke mortars. Mortars come in an explosive variant, of course, but I would like to also see a little barrage of smoke shells coming in that just blast the area with smoke mortar shells. Randomized, spread, blocks vision, allows safer movement because it's not just one spot. And you might say, well, I don't need a randomized area. That is a bit of a silly thing. I just need it in this one giant open spot. Similar with the next idea, which would be an artillery barrage. And that being said, you can already use that at the moment with just 3 artillery guns. But imagine that, for an extra price you get a nice extra hard bombardment of an area. There are quite a few moments where you just want a massive blast of an area. But looking at how the developers know that artillery is pretty broken and needs to get a rework at some point as well, maybe the good thing would be, to have it as an ability. Especially in future when maybe artillery is gonna get removed or changed. Could be good to just have an artillery barrage call instead. Another variant with the artillery could of course be also just a very nice variant of a rolling barrage. Just a line of firing similar to the bombing run, We might even be able to combine this with dynamic weather. Because in certain maps it makes no sense that planes are flying, like Elsinore and Rich and others. Or if there's a sandstorm, why is there a plane flying through a sandstorm? We don't need that if we have alternative options. Like a rolling barrage. Bam, you have replaced the bombing run, and it makes sense historically as well. Why not? And as the last thing on this list when it comes to explosive weaponry and things that can get blasted across the map, I would like to see an increase of a special unique ability for each faction, which I guess doesn't make it that unique. I would like to see other variants of the Katyusha strike. I would like to see the iconic Nebelwerfer for the Axis, for example. I would like to see a Sherman Calliope rocket battery going in. And, well, for the Soviets we can just keep the Katyusha. British we could get the land mattress. You know, we could get a nice peppering of the area with some heavy explosive bombardment. Devastating against large infantry groups. Very randomized. But a fun little massive impact thing, you know? What I would also like to see is variants of the Strafing rounds. In that case, the option for an extra price to send 2 fighter planes instead of just 1. Basically, the idea would be both planes strafe the same general line with a slight horizontal offset, you know, just slightly next to each other. Covers a wider area, nice against spread out infantry, more pressure in the area, more suppression would of course come in that situation with a much higher cost, not just double, maybe 2.5 times. Smokescreen deployment. As in a plane flies by and plop, 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 drops some smoke bombs down. They use this kind of thing in major operations like D-Day and others. It would be a great thing, just one big blocking smoke screen line. And maybe, you know, in future, when one day we get AA guns, maybe this could also be something that you have to fight off. What about the idea of a Recon plane that stays in an area? A Recon Overflight that stays longer and just goes in a circle and spots everything on the ground. It's basically a better flare at this point. Mind you, in future that could be a nice thing, because I'm pretty sure that anti-air idea is still a thing that the devs have in mind, and lots of players still want, you know, a flak punch and other nonsense like that. Now these next 2 ones are a bit of a thing where I'm not sure if, you know, it could work with Hell It Loose, or if it would crush too much of the balance. Again, that might be helpful. The very questionable but maybe still workable idea, rapid infantry deployment, as in you have reduced infantry respawn times for your team. Maybe not just for your whole team, maybe only in a certain sector, for example, so all the garrisons, the OPs get like 1 second off, which doesn't sound like a lot, but having 1 extra second is quite good actually. I like the idea of you as a commander being able to push out more people in a quicker time than your enemy. Unless they use the same ability, of course. Could be nice as a last grab there where you try to defend and you just need an extra second of spawn waves coming in. Same thing for the attack, of course. Again, this could be an issue of balancing, would need to get tested as well, but that's the same logic with all of these things. And that's the anti-tank gun airdrop. The American Air Force, known to not only drop paratroopers, but also lovely equipment down. You might have seen it already in other video games, mostly strategy games and such things. To basically drop down a pre-made anti-tank gun that then just spawns on the ground. I think that could be a nice little thing, because it's gonna drop very slowly, it's gonna be very noticeable, and of course it's gonna be very obvious, but you know, tankers don't see everything, especially if they don't have a spotter. And you might expect me to drop another point, which would be, oh, I want people to be able to parachute in as paratroopers. But my main worry is that, you know, paratroopers, if we had that, if they actually made that, they would just get blasted out of the air very instantly, because everybody, you know, will shell them in the air. All of these abilities should be easy to make, because the mechanics already exist in the game. If this was stuff that, you know, the devs have to invest a lot of time, they would say, just ignore this whole suggestion and just go ahead and fix hitboxes and other things. This list at the moment is abilities that would improve the commander role without too much extra work on the devs. This could also be a nice foot in the door situation for other features in future. And yeah, that's basically the whole idea. Now I know that the commander has other things to do. I just want to see some extra options for the commander to drop something, to have something fun here. Commanders have not gotten anything in many years now. There's some other things that I would like to see for the commander as well, but I'm gonna cover that in another video. This one is just for call-ins that I see fit. And with that, yeah, again, let me know in the comments. I will be forwarding this video, and I would assume that the devs, some of them at least, are gonna also watch the video and the comment section in the next few weeks. So, if you wanna be heard, put that comment down. If not, then at least have a good week. That's it from my side. Altberg, over and out. Bye-bye.